Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Jay in Transit. My. It's been a long ass time. I don't know about you, but quarantine, COVID 19, and all that jazz has really taken a toll on me. And one of the things that I have been grateful for have been my friends. The ones I've met 20 years ago, the ones I met 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even 6 months ago. And it took me back to a conversation I had with two of my friends, Dina Skippa, founder of Enough Labs, and Dr. Shelly Gonzalez, Dr. G. We talked about, how we hold each other up, hold each other accountable, what friendships, looked like back then and what they look like now, and how we should approach going into 2021 or as we continue through this pandemic. Really, not much different than what we thought it would be from when we started our own friendship. So, I really do hope you enjoy this episode, and I will see you on the other side.
Awesome. I wanted to throw the first question out there, and again, I'd love for you all to interject whatever you would want to into the conversation. But what have your long term relationships look like with your friends? Like, what has support meant for you in those types
So
of
I'll
relationships?
begin. This is Shelly. So when it comes to friendships and support, honestly, I feel I know which friends to go to for certain things. So if I need support on one thing, I'll go to a friend, a certain friend versus another. And then there's just that constant friend that you do keep in your back pocket that you know will always be supportive of you. And that is the one that I go to on a regular basis, but I really reserve them for the everything's falling and I need you just to catch it real quick and help me out, build this back up together.
Yes.
That's great.
Awesome.
I feel like for
How about
me,
you, Dina?
something that comes up that's really important for me in friendships is knowing that it's a safe space. And so I think the friendships that have endured the longest throughout the years are those that I know that no matter what I'm going through, I can kind of show up messy, you know, not together, not really sure what I'm trying to say, and be able to feel received and supported. And that's been really really special for me, and something I look for. Like I feed off it, especially as you get older, because that stuff really means it really means it's really important. So
Yeah. So I know this is an early curveball, but talking about the support, the one that you go to, how you show up messy, did any of these relationships that we just talked about reflect in how you picked your partner?
mm,
Oh, that's a good one.
wow.
Well, so for me with the partner, it was more of I was in the moment. Honestly, I wasn't looking for a partner at the time, and he just happened to find me with that. And it just flowed, and I wasn't trying to be someone else, and I wasn't trying to be, that girl you kind of present yourself when you see a new guy. I was just free, messy, woke up, not saying we did anything, but it was college, so we all wake up together like that. With your cold still in your eye, and you're just like, I don't care, whatever. And then at that point, it was a friendship, and we were just friends, and then it just turned into more. So I guess when it came to picking a partner, it was like having a friendship first.
Mm. Yeah, definitely the curveball, but
Right.
I've actually grown to cherish my girlfriend friendships because I think they obviously serve two very different spaces. And I think one thing that I'll definitely say is that there's been that element of raw truth, sometimes for me, of not being able to always handle it, but knowing that I need it a lot of the times. And by a lot of the times, I mean most of the time. Um, and I think that that has definitely influenced how I am in my relationship. But I also feel that I cherish my friendships because I can't get everything I need from my partner, and that I love that I have girlfriends that I can go to and really spill it, you know, just spill it, talk about it, really unpack this and like with all of the details that I want to. So, and I can't always get that, from a partner.
I mean, I have found that I did speak about this in a previous episode about how there was a time where I felt I did date my girlfriends because, I mean, let's face it, I find great women and I keep them for a very long time in my life. And so I do think that at one point, though, you both know me very well. I haven't been in a relationship where you've met anybody of significance in a very long time. Um, but I do feel that there is a certain level that I am looking for when I'm in search of a partner or talking about relationships. I'm looking for a certain level of intimacy that I know that I have reached with my girlfriend, long-term girlfriends. But I do also kick it back. Like I do want that level of spontaneity that, of those friends that I reserve for, certain things. So that fun part, exactly,
I
when
love
I
it.
was
I love
looking
it. I
at my
love it.
pictures of
I couldn't
Trinidad,
agree
for
more. I
instance,
mean,
those friends.
Rana, you and I have had those outings, those spontaneous moments where we've just been able to turn up and have fun. And let's face it, you can't always do that with your partner. I mean, and there's a special bond and sort of like a reprieve that you get to be sort of like your unfiltered self. Like you just get to be who you are in the context of that friendship. And I don't want to lose that.
Right, right. It's a comfort level. It's just
It
like
is.
just knowing you could be free, who you are, and just
Absolutely.
have a really good time and, be yourself. I hear you.
So I know we go through a lot of cycles in friendships. And so I wanted to see if there were any friendships that you thought were going to last a very long time
So,
and are no
go ahead.
longer in your life. And you don't need specifics. We don't need specifics if you don't want to share, but an
I
instance
could go
where you
first.
have
So
reflected
I
on
had a
on
really
that,
good
maybe.
girlfriend in, we'll call it junior high. We met probably elementary, but junior high we really we really became good friends. We went to different high school but remained true throughout college. We just had that friendship going on, and then a life altering event for her occurred, and I was there, 110%. And she she turned, and it just wasn't the same person that I grew up with and that I knew as a person. And I understand she was going through whatever she was going through, but it was at that point in time where I was like, okay, no problem, I'll fall back, you know, we'll figure this out. And then I had a ring event, and then she wasn't there for me the way I was there for her. And I don't know what happened or what kind of emotions were going through her head, but I was just like, well, I was there for you, and this was like a major step in life, and now it's kind of, time to be reciprocated. And then she wasn't there, and I was just like, all right, well, at this point, I'm gonna leave it on your lap, and when you're ready to come and be a part of my life, I'm here. And then she just let it fall. So I was like, all right, no problem. I see you. I respect it. Don't get me wrong. If I seen her in the street, I'd still say hi, what's up, and you know, ask how the family's doing, because as you go through years, you get to know people's family and things of that like that. I wouldn't ignore her, but it was just I thought we would have been together, friends, until the nursing home, turning up together, and it's just like no, we didn't even we didn't get there.
People, friends are in your life for either a reason or a season. And I've actually had a lot of friends who um, are still with me today. And that's a testament to the bond that I have with them and how much I hold it in regard. And then there's people who I definitely thought I was going to ride with for my entire life, and they're not all that close to me today. And I think it's symptomatic of, for me at least, who I've grown into, and realizing that sometimes there's been situations that I've had that I've been in a, friendship with someone who just their way of being doesn't really serve me anymore. And so you get to a place, I think, as you get older, where you start to get more grounded in what you're willing to keep around you in terms of energy. So if, say, for example, you have a friend who has been kind of, condescending to you around, around you, and just really not lifting you up, and you've always kind of questioned that in the pit of your stomach, but as more time goes on, you're like, yeah, I don't really need that energy in my life
Yeah,
anymore.
over it.
So
Yeah. I found that some of my friend cycles have shifted because, well, a few reasons, right? Like some of my personal energy has shifted, and I've uh, imposed expectations on
right.
these friends that they had absolutely no clue, that were foisted on them. But also, like we just outgrew each other. And so that I have had friends that I thought were, going to be my ride or dies till the very end. And, things just,
Right.
we have this different interests. We're talking about different things. We went to different countries. We, lost opportunities at different times. Like it could have been just as simple as that, that shifted that friend circle. So, I remember that I was very cautious about, well, I don't even know if I was cautious or if my mom was cautious about who I would bring home when I was younger. So,
That's
how
a
does that
good
look
one.
like now
Honestly,
for you?
you nailed,
How
like
do you
my mom
decide
when
who
I was
comes home?
younger would tell me about my friends, and I would be like, "No, mom, that's not who she is. That's not who she's about." Like, no, like what? And then it's like I can honestly say, if she gave me 5 nicknames for my friends, she nailed every single one of them within a 10-year span. And I was like, "Go ahead, mommy." Like,
Mom knows. Mom knows.
like every time. I was like, wow. She's like, oh, they're not going to last long. Or
Every
that's not really
time.
a friend. A real friend wouldn't say that to you. A real friend wouldn't do that to you, things like that. And, and I was like, no, Ma, she's just having a rough patch, or, something's going on with her. So, I mean, wow, I didn't even think I forgot about my mom. My mom really did, call out my friends. So, I mean, right now, I'll bring mommy around if I need her to judge a friend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the same
She has
time,
a
I mean,
touchy
I
nose.
think because I'm getting older and I'm going through life, I think just meeting a friend, you're just like, okay, we're gonna be friends for a time, but it might not last long, and I'm okay with it. And I think that's what growing has showed me, that it's okay not to be friends with everybody until the very end. Like there's going to come a point in time where you're going to have to let them go, and you're just, living and they're living, and
Right.
nothing, no animosity or anything towards it. It's just two paths that crossed for a while and now they've separated. So I would say, I guess myself, besides calling my mom when I need her. So
I definitely agree with that, Shelly. I mean, I think as you get older, you start to tune into your instinct a
Uh,
lot more. So it's sort of like you trust it or you don't. But I don't know if I'm alone on this, but I feel like as we're also getting older, it's like we're starting to get a little snobbish around, like, I don't really need any new friends. And like, if I do get one in the mix, like, I'm surprised. But I think like where we find ourselves, like in new jobs, or some kind of like self-development thing we do, or we're just meeting people in different facets of life, like it's always bonus when you truly connect with someone. But I think otherwise, you know I'm really content with the number of friends I have. So I think if I do meet people, I've struck up friendships like with my personal trainer. I've struck relationships with just different settings, and I've been genuinely just really happy around like meeting people that I wasn't necessarily looking to strike a friendship with. So I think that's always um encouraging.
It was such a great segue because I did want to talk a little bit about the topic of new friends.
no, it's
Is
not. I
that
mean,
really
Juana,
like
we
a
just met
blanket
like a few
no
years
across the
ago.
board for you all ladies as we get older?
But as I said, It was all about the chemistry. It was fluid. There was no hurdles or anything. And it was like a spark that happened. So I can't like I would say I was like Dina, I was like, look, no new friends. I'm good. I have plenty of friends that I could go to for certain things. And then people come into your lives and you're just like, oh, we've been friends. You just don't know that we've been friends for this long. So I'm gonna let you know that we're gonna have to be together for a while until you don't need me anymore because it's gonna be on
Right.
you now. But
Yeah, just so you know, you're stuck with
right,
a big thing for me is that if I find myself in a setting where I genuinely vibe with someone, I'm like excited about it because like I'm not necessarily looking for it because I'm grateful that I feel so filled by my friendships. But I will say there are certain times that you get into phases of life where you genuinely are in the market for friends. Like you need that support. Like Wanda knows this. I spent 5 years in France and that was a really tough time for me because I didn't have any close female friends and I was like on the hunt. And I think there was like an energy I was putting out that was like like can I connect with you? Can we be friends? And it was it a lot of times the connections felt truly forced. I almost felt like I was going on first dates. Like this is what I'm about. What are you about? And I'm like, what am I doing? I don't need to try this hard. Like it's just not gonna
right.
work. So I think it's interesting when you're in different phases of your life, like truly when you're craving that connection and it's just not happening, you know?
I love how you're making the parallels. Well, I guess
Yeah.
I'm drawing parallels, right? Because you talk about energy and when things are forced, even in friendships, it's just not going to work. And I mean, I've seen that that's a travail that a lot of single women in this age are going through, right? I feel at this point, either we are in relationships with someone who we want to have kids, get married, or have the societal thing, or we're in relationships, whether they're healthy or not, or destructive, with friends that are also no longer serving us. And it's all about that energy that we are putting out. So um, the quarantine has been extremely difficult for me too, but I think some of my saving graces, I don't think, I know, have been the friendships that I've made not only 20 years ago, but or 3 years ago, but even sometimes 6 months ago for me. So I want to be team no friends, and I swear I have entered spaces where people do not know the Juana that Dina knows. They don't know the Juana that Shelly knows. If these people came up to either one of you, you would be like, "Who is that you are talking to? You must have the wrong person." Like, and you nailed it on the head, Dina. It is because of the energy that I chose to keep and embrace and put out. And I found that once I just let go of that, I mean, we'll just continue with the word energy, but I let go of really it was the fear around the energy that I was going to be exposed or that, these friends were going to stab me in the back or they weren't really friends. Like, I did find that I was making stronger connections. So I wasn't so opposed to it being a new friend. But as, the way Shelly and I connected, I was more open to going with connection and how that felt. So, like any old relationship, right? There are folks who we were very tight, and then we ghost, and then they come back. Have you all had any types of experiences with friends? I know we've had them, in the past. For my beautifully married friends, that
Uh,
get
so I
the exes come
That boomerang
out of the
effect.
woodworks, but
like,
have
oh, I'm
friends
back.
come out of the woodworks.
So I would say yes. I would say in college,
Yes,
my roommate, her and I, when you're
yes.
roommates, you share everything possible. You go through ups, downs, life, and you're both finding yourselves because, your first time you're really away from home. It's just a connection you get with a roommate. Hopefully, you get a good roommate. Some people don't, but I was fortunate to have a really good roommate. And we were good throughout college. And then when college kind of stopped and we were both kind of living, we just, fell off. It was just like, no, we would, holidays and birthdays, things like that, but nothing like how you're living with that roommate for the 4 years we were in college together. And then one Christmas, she, we send the cards, or the text, I should say. And she was like, I have something to tell you. And I was like, oh, what's going on? And she was like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but so am I. And it turns out we were pregnant at the same time. We had kids 5 days apart from each other. And she lived literally 5 blocks from me. Right. So here we
Oh my
are.
God.
I want to say 13 years after leaving school.
I can't.
And we're in the same part of life, living so close together. So then we would go on walks together and just, talk
Wow.
about everything because we knew everything about each other. And then she ended up having a boy. I had a boy. So then we had that rapport going. And it was like we were going back through that old times because we had that connection again. And even till this day, like we're in much better space than we were in that we'll call it the gap years. But I think we were just both finding, who we are. She, found her husband in college and they were
Yes.
dating and then I found mine and then it was just, we went apart and then we came back together and it was like at the perfect time. So, gap year sometimes helps to make the friendship
Yeah.
that much better.
I'm not in the same boat,
Oh,
unfortunately. I feel like
yes.
exes,
Agreed. Agreed.
just like friends, if I let you go, I wish you well. But it's just you're, and I'm not cutthroat. Lana knows this. I probably hold on to people a lot longer than sometimes I should.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's again symptomatic of how you're moving. So like I move differently, so I can't really rock with you how I used to if there's no longer sort of that bridge between us. It's just something has shifted. It's partly me, it may be partly you. There's been a couple scenarios where I've been pleasantly surprised where friends have come back, but it's been mostly like there was nothing that went wrong in the friendship or anything that changed. It was really just because of logistics or like we lost touch and then like we're able to pick up right where we left off. But yeah, expectations sometimes that we place in friendships. I think the reverse thing can also happen too, is that these roles or that we tend to step into or fulfill, whether they were spoken or unspoken, can also be a contributing factor in the shift that happens. So, I think as you grow,
Mhm.
you realize, well, I don't really need to be that way in friendships. Like I
Yeah.
can actually be my full self and not feel like, at least for me, I don't like I've gone through situations where I realize no, I don't need to go above and beyond for this friend who's not returning that same energy. So
Yep.
again, to the left, it's been nice.
Right. Yeah. 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 Okay. So this is another curveball. There were rules, right? There were rules
So
when we
good.
were 16.
Go
There were
girl.
rules when, we were 21, 25. What are the rules now? Want to know what the rules are now?
I think
Do they
one
remain
of a
the
rule that's
same?
been
Have we added
consistent, I
some? Have
think,
we
is be
changed? What's
loyal.
up?
I think like
Right.
really ride for me. And
Okay.
whether or not you're holding someone in that level of accountability is the thing that shifts. The rule I think has already always been the same. Whether or not you're I think well,
But what's
loyal to the
loyal in
friendship.
what though?
And for me, I think
What?
loyalty is about
Mhm.
being there, being genuinely there for you, like riding hard. And, say you're in a situation where someone's talking about you,
Right.
like stand up for me.
I would
Stand up for me.
say rule is that's I guess been there since 16, 15, whatever you want to call it, would
Mhm.
be happy. Like
Got it.
you got to make me happy. Like,
Okay.
those friends that just complain all the time and just Debbie Downers, you're just like, mm-mm, not in my space. And don't be wrong, when you're 15, 16, you're more willing to put up with it if they're your homegirl from literally, first to eighth period, it's just like, well, I'm happy with Debbie Downer because there's nobody else that I can really vibe with. And you become the funny friend. You become the friend that they look up. They kind of have like, well, they can go to you because you'll be that spontaneity that they need, or that kind of laughter that they need to not be such a Debbie Downer kind of thing. But then you reach a point where you're just like, I'm not with it anymore. It's not what I want. So at this point, I would say happiness. I would choose happiness over just us being friends because we've been together for X amount of time. If you're still Debbie Downer, here we are, X amount of years later, I can't do it.
I'll add a new rule too, just again to piggyback off of what
Right.
Shelly just said. Don't make it work. Like don't create, like, to be in this friendship. Don't make it feel like it's work to
Mm,
be in the friendship, because I need my friendships to be a refuge for me. I don't need to actually be putting in
Yes, yes.
more than, and I go hard for my friends, so I always will. But I feel like if you're not lifting me up, if you're not joyful, I just it's kind of tough to show up. And that's not to say that I'm not going to be there for friends who are
yeah.
genuinely going through
Yeah.
something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
I hear
a
you.
very much a distinction. I think it's just, if it feels like it's something that's just heavy and difficult to be in consistently,
Right,
that's kind of a red
right.
flag for me, at least.
All right. So, okay. Another question I had was, when do you become, is there like too much? Like, is there a boundary that your friend can can cross? No matter,
It's funny because I know Juana
even as a
knows.
20-year friend, or, the friend who knows all my shit, you know?
So I feel there's definitely
I
a
don't know.
line that you could cross with
I
those
mean,
that
maybe I
you've
do.
had years of friendship with. And I think for me, I kept raising the level. Like I kept making excuses. I kept saying, well, she's just going through this, or, well, this is happening, or she just needs that person. I just kept raising the bar that I know if it was another friend, I would have been like, all right, I'm just going my corner. So there was certain friends that I would raise that level for. And I could be honest, one of my friends, she actually did. I finally stopped raising the bar, and I was just like, I gotta do me. I gotta fall back. I got to stop being that person that I am to you, but you aren't to me. So, so yeah, so I would honestly say that, it's tough and it sucks, but it comes a point in your friendship where you have to fall back, and it's not where you want to be, and it's not where you thought you were going to be, but you got to let go. And I'm saying we're not friends anymore, but we're not the friends we were because the line was crossed. And it was
Yeah.
enough. Enough was enough.
Right.
I I couldn't agree more, Shelley. I mean, I've had situations where
Yep.
I've just felt
Yeah.
backed into a
Awesome.
corner, where I've had to just draw that line when I haven't necessarily been ready, and it's required a lot of internal reflection to get there and to, like, kind of stand up for myself. I think um, it's interesting. I think there's those friends that are going to be able to handle it when you come back and let them know how you're feeling. And then there's sometimes other friends who are like, what are you talking about? This isn't at all what I was doing. And I'm like, for me at least, I look at those moments like, well, are you willing to honor what I'm feeling and that I've had the courage enough to tell you about, or are you just going to dismiss me? And if it's going to be the latter, I guess that's where it kind of ends. But and or shifts. But I think that's where the line definitely can be continuously raised until you really get clear about what you're willing and what you're
Yep.
not willing to forego.
I know even in the quarantine, we are busy women. And I do have one more curveball, and you do not have to be specific about this or even answer it. We could just say punt as our safe word. But uh, I wanted to know what your thoughts were on married people having single friends. And even a step closer, can a married man have a single
Um,
woman friend or vice
so
versa?
being married, I do have friends that are not married, both male and female. I think, don't get me wrong, when I did get with my significant other, male friendships did drop off. Like, it's just what it is. And then there were other male friendships that didn't, because I just think it was a different place. And we were friends for X amount of times that, you know, we just had that connection. Like, I'm one of five. I have four brothers. So that male, interaction was always there. And then I went to school for engineering, and sorry, not sorry, there's not a lot of females there. So I have a lot of male friends that I still, have that connection with even till this day. And there's others that I
Right.
don't. So I think it just depends on the situation and how things play out. And I could say that most of them worked, and others I was just like, oh, okay, so we're not friends anymore, or okay, well, I gotta get rid of this friend, and you just move on from there. It's like not even a thought, you have to cut it, done.
I think every relationship is different. I think if you come into a
Got it.
relationship where that person
Got it.
had a friendship with another person who may be single and of the opposite sex, I mean, it warrants a conversation, I think. But I think, at least from my perspective, the most important thing is being honest. If they're hiding stuff from you and meeting with them and not really letting you in on it, I think that's pretty foul, and there's something to look at that with. But I'll say, at least for me, I remember this was in France. One of my girlfriends who kind of showed herself, and she would tell me stories about how she was, had no qualms about dating married men or flirting with other people's husbands, and I was like, cool, noted. I'm not totally comfortable with you being around my husband, and I'm just gonna put that out there. And not to her, because I didn't need to like tell her, but I made it very clear that's not an energy that I want around me, nor do I want it around you. So
Right.
I'm gonna leave it there. But I think every relationship, it warrants a conversation of what people's
Got it.
levels of comfort are. Is it possible? I think yes, but it's got to be, I think, looked at in the context of
Right.
who that person is and what energy they're bringing. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So to end it on a fun note, are we leaving any of the young kids making friends now with tips? Because I feel like they make friends on totally different grounds than when we did.
Yeah.
And
Aren't we all?
yeah, so I am dating myself
We've made
at
several
this point.
references to, but when you get older, you really realize certain things. Listen, I'm young at heart. I know all three of us
Yes,
are, so
yes, yes.
I
I
get
think,
it. Come
well,
on.
it still is on commonalities. I think, friendships, when you have things in common, even when you're, for the younger generation, it's based on what you have in common a lot of the times. And, you might grow away from it, or you might continue into it, and that will just help your friendship grow into different lights. And I feel, no new friends doesn't apply to everything. And just going with it is something that I think the new generation goes towards, because everything's different. And if anything, this whole COVID-19 has taught me is that, you know, you'll really see who your real friends are
It is.
going through this kind of environment that is unexpected, and everybody's trying to learn from it, but then you just see those friendships that have grown, has stayed the same, or has fallen off. So not saying that I wish we're going to have more COVID moments, but we might. And so I think for the younger generation, like, start looking out and seeing what's happening with these friends that you would hang out with all the time, and then
Yeah.
now ghosted you. So
Really look for going beyond the surface. I think really finding friends of substance who can really talk about
Mm.
things of depth, because we are likely to go through some really challenging times. Similar, I mean, not to say it's similar to COVID, but we will go through moments and transitions that we've never navigated before. So you want friends who can genuinely be there. I think that's really important. And I think that it is equally as
Yeah.
important to beware of any friends who start to show certain sides of them that might liken to being a bit jealous, or maybe trying to undercut you in some way when you're doing well. Um, to me, that's a telltale sign that someone's not really willing to ride for me, but they're trying to cut me down in a moment where they can kind of see an opening where I'm being vulnerable. So I would say that's my two bits of advice to the youngins.
Yeah. So the only thing I'd add to that is I do think that you need hype men and women friends, but you need the hype men and women friends who are challenging you to be better. So if they are always driving you to, like,
Right,
come out your
right,
face
right.
and be that person that, you're going viral for the wrong things, that's not the hype friend that I'm talking about. But if it's the hype friend who is, like, talking up that dream that you've talked about, that you have in your heart, and for some reason you can't get it out of your heart, and he or she is encouraging to, like, go for it, that's the hype friend that I'm talking about. So um relationships are hard, and it's not just relationships that you are looking to be intimate with or have sex with or get married. Like, friendships, even platonic friendships, are difficult. So I'm grateful for
Thank
my friends,
you.
and I am
Thank
grateful
you.
that you
Thank you
two
for the
Yes.
decided to
invitation.
join me
Yes,
on
thank
this
you for your friendship.
Thank
episode.
you for your friendship.
So thank you so very much. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
and I appreciate you. Thank you. And here's to 20 more years as I cheers
I
you.
love you.
And there you have it, folks. Friends, real friends, will be there for you no matter what. It's okay to reevaluate because they are a relationship like anything else. And I'm just so grateful that I have been surrounded by love, by friendship, and really friends that are family. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Jay in Transit. You can get more of Dina Skippa at Ina Flabs on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And Dr. G, she's private. So, um, yeah, thank you so much, all. Be safe, wear your mask, save lives. Till next time.